Deuteronomy chapter 6. Exhortation to keep the covenant principles. Now these are the commandments, statutes, and ordinances that the Lord your God instructed me to teach you, so that you may carry them out in the land where you are headed, and that you may so revere the Lord your God that you will keep all his statutes and commandments that I am giving you, your children, and your grandchildren, all your lives, to prolong your days. Pay attention, Israel, and be careful to do this, so that it may go well with you, and that you may increase greatly in number. As the Lord, the God of your ancestors, said to you, you will have a land flowing with milk and honey. The essence of the covenant principles. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. You must love the Lord your God with your whole mind, with your whole being, and all your strength. Exhortation to teach the covenant principles. These words I am commanding you today must be kept in mind, and you must teach them to your children, and speak of them as you sit in your house, as you walk along the road, as you lie down, and as you get up. You should tie them as a reminder on your forearm, and fasten them as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the door frames of your houses and gates. Exhortation to worship the Lord exclusively. Then when the Lord your God brings you to the land he promised your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you, a land with large, fine cities you did not build, houses filled with choice things you did not accumulate, hewn out cisterns you did not dig, and vineyards and olive groves you did not plant, and you will eat your fill. Be careful not to forget the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, that place of slavery. You must revere the Lord your God, serve him, and take oaths using only his name. You must not go after other gods, those of the surrounding peoples, for the Lord your God, who is present among you, is a jealous God. His anger will erupt against you and remove you from the land. You must not put the Lord your God to the test as you did at Manasseh. Keep all his commandments very carefully, as well as the stipulations and statutes he commanded you to observe. Do whatever is proper and good before the Lord, so that it may go well with you, and that you may enter and occupy the good land that he promised your ancestors, and that you may drive out all your enemies, just as the Lord said. When your children ask you later on, what are the stipulations, statutes, and ordinances that the Lord our God commanded you? You must say to them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, but the Lord brought us out of Egypt in a powerful way, and he brought signs and great devastating wonders on Egypt, on Pharaoh, and on his whole family before our very eyes. He delivered us from there so that he could give us the land he promised our ancestors. The Lord commanded us to obey all these statutes and to revere him, so that it may always go well for us, and he may preserve us, as he did to this day. We will be innocent if we carefully keep all these commandments before the Lord our God, just as he demands. Deuteronomy chapter 7. When the Lord your God brings you to the land you are going to occupy, and forces out many nations before you, the Hittites, Girgashites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, 7 nations more numerous and powerful than you, and he delivers them over to you and attack them, you must utterly annihilate them. Make no treaty with them, and show them no mercy. You must not intermarry with them. Do not give your daughters to their sons, or take their daughters for your sons, for they will turn your sons away from me to worship other gods. Then the anger of the Lord will erupt against you, and he will quickly destroy you. Instead, this is what you must do to them. You must tear down their altars, shatter their sacred pillars, cut down their sacred Asherah poles, and burn up their idols. For you are a people holy to the Lord your God. He has chosen you to be his people, prized above all others on the face of the earth. It is not because you were more numerous than all other peoples that the Lord favored and chose you, for in fact you are the least numerous of all peoples. Rather, it is because of his love for you and his faithfulness to the promise he solemnly vowed to your ancestors that the Lord brought you out with great power, redeeming you from the place of slavery from the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So realize that the Lord your God is the true God, the faithful God who keeps covenant faithfully with those who love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, but who pays back those who hate him as they deserve and destroy them. He will not ignore those who hate him, but will repay them as they deserve. So keep the commandments, statutes, and ordinances that I today am commanding you to do. If you obey these ordinances and are careful to do them, the Lord your God will faithfully keep covenant with you as he promised your ancestors. He will love and bless you and make you numerous. He will bless you with many children, with the produce of your soil, your grain, your new wine, your olive oil, the offspring of your oxen, and the young of your flocks in the land he promised your ancestors to give you. You will be blessed beyond all peoples. There will be no barrenness among you or your livestock. The Lord will protect you from all sickness, and you will not experience any of the terrible diseases that you knew in Egypt. Instead, he will inflict them on all those who hate you. You must destroy all the people whom the Lord your God is about to deliver over to you. You must not pity them or worship their gods, for that will be a snare to you. If you think, these nations are more numerous than I, how can I dispossess them? You must not fear them. You must carefully recall what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and all Egypt, the great judgments you saw, the signs and wonders, the strength and power by which he brought you out. Thus the Lord your God will do to all of the people you fear. Furthermore, the Lord your God will release hornets among them until the very last one who hides from you perish. You must not tremble in their presence, for the Lord your God, who is present among you, is a great and awesome God. He, the God who leads you, will expel the nations little by little. You will not be allowed to destroy them all at once, lest the wild animals overrun you. The Lord your God will give them over to you. He will throw them into great panic until they are destroyed. He will hand over their kings to you, and you will erase the very names from memory. Nobody will be able to resist you until you destroy them. You must burn the images of their gods, but do not covet the silver and gold that covers them so much that you take it for yourselves and thus become ensnared by it, for it's abhorrent to the Lord your God. You must not bring any abhorrent thing into your house and thereby become an object of divine wrath along with it. You must absolutely detest and abhor it, for it is an object of divine wrath. Deuteronomy chapter 8. You must keep carefully all these commandments I am giving you today, so that you may live, increase in number, and go in and occupy the land that the Lord promised to your ancestors. Remember the whole way which he brought you out these 40 years through the wilderness, that he might, by humbling you, test you to see if you have it within you to keep his commandments or not. So he humbled you by making you hungry and then feeding you with unfamiliar manna. He did this to teach you that humankind cannot live by bread alone, but also by everything that comes from the Lord's mouth. Your clothing did not wear out, nor did your feet swell all these 40 years. Be keenly aware that just as a parent disciplines his child, so the Lord your God disciplines you. So you must keep his commandments, live according to his standards, and revere him, for the Lord your God is bringing you to a good land, a land of brooks, springs, and fountains flowing forth in valleys and hills, a land of wheat, barley, vines, fig trees, and pomegranates, of olive trees and honey, a land where you may eat food in plenty and find no lack of anything, a land whose stones are iron and from whose hills you can mine copper. You will eat your fill and then praise the Lord your God because of the good land he has given you. Be sure you do not forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments, ordinances, and statutes that I am giving you today. When you eat your fill, when you build and occupy good houses, when your cattle and flocks increase, when you have plenty of silver and gold, and when you have an abundance of everything, be sure you do not feel self-important and forget the Lord your God, who brought you from the land of Egypt, the place of slavery, and who brought you through the great, fearful wilderness of venomous serpents and scorpions, an arid place with no water. He made water flow from a flint rock, and fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your ancestors had never known before, so that he might, by humbling you, test you, and eventually bring good to you. Be careful not to say, my own ability and skill have gotten me this wealth. You must remember the Lord your God, for he is the one who gives ability to get wealth. If you do this, he will confirm his covenant that he made by oath to your ancestors, even as he has to this day. Now, if you forget the Lord your God at all, and follow other gods, worshiping and prostrating yourselves before them, I testify to you today that you will surely be annihilated. Just like the nations the Lord is about to destroy from your sight, so he will do to you, because you would not obey him. Deuteronomy chapter 9. Listen, Israel, today you are about to cross the Jordan so you can dispossess the nations there, people greater and stronger than you, who live in large cities with extremely high fortifications. They include the Anakites, a numerous and tall people, whom you know about and whom it is said, who is able to resist the Anakites? Understand today that the Lord your God, who goes before you, is a devouring fire. He will defeat and subdue them before you. You will dispossess and destroy them quickly, just as he has told you. Do not think of yourself after the Lord your God has driven them out before you. Because of my own righteousness, the Lord has brought me here to possess this land. It is because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord is driving them out ahead of you. It is not because of your righteousness or even your inner uprightness that you have come here to possess their land. Instead, because of the wickedness of these nations, the Lord your God is driving them out ahead of you in order to confirm the promise he made an oath to your ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Understand, therefore, it is not because of your righteousness the Lord your God is about to give you this good land as a possession, for you are a stubborn people. Remember, don't ever forget, how you provoked the Lord your God in the wilderness. From the time you left the land of Egypt until you came to this place, you were constantly rebelling against him. At Horeb, you provoked him, and he was angry enough with you to destroy you. When I went up the mount to receive the stone tablets, the tablets of the covenant that the Lord made with you, I remained there 40 days and nights, eating and drinking nothing. The Lord gave me the 2 stone tablets written by the very finger of God, and on them was everything written. He said to you at the mount from the midst of the fire at the time of the assembly. Now at the end of the 40 days and nights, the Lord presented me with the 2 stone tablets, the tablets of the covenant, and he said to me, Get up, go down at once from here, because your people, whom you brought out of Egypt, have sinned. They have quickly turned away from the way I commanded them and have made for themselves a cast metal image. Moreover, he said to me, I have taken note of these people. They are a stubborn lot. Stand aside, and I will destroy them, obliterating their very name from memory, and I will make you into a stronger and more numerous nation than they are. So I turned and went down the mountain while it was blazing with fire. The 2 tablets of the covenant were in my hands. When I looked, you had indeed sinned against the Lord your God, and had cast for yourselves a metal calf. You had quickly turned aside from the way he had commanded you. I grabbed the 2 tablets, threw them down, and shattered them before your eyes. Then I again fell down before the Lord for 40 days and nights. I ate and drank nothing because of all the sin you had committed, doing such evil before the Lord as to enrage him. For I was terrified at the Lord's intense anger that threatened to destroy you. But he listened to me this very time as well. The Lord was also very enough at Aaron to kill him and at that time I prayed for him too. As for your sinful thing that you made, the calf, I took it, melted it down, grounded it up until it was as fine as dust, and tossed the dust into the stream that flows down to the mountain. Moreover, you continued to provoke the Lord at Taberah, Massa, and Kibroth Hattava. And when he sent you up from Kadesh Barnea and told you, "Go up and possess the land I have given you," you rebelled against the Lord your God, and would neither believe nor obey him. You have been rebelling against him from the very first day I knew you. I lay flat on the ground before the Lord for 40 days and nights, for he had said he would destroy you. I prayed to him, "O sovereign Lord, do not destroy your people, your valued property that you have powerfully redeemed, whom you brought out of Egypt by your strength. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Ignore the stubbornness, wickedness, and sin of these people. Otherwise, the people of the land from which you brought us will say, 'The Lord was unable to bring them to the land he promised them, and because of his hatred for them, he has brought them out to kill them in the wilderness.' They are your people, your valued property, whom you brought out with great strength and power."